Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Chaffee. Welcome to the Joe Chaffee Weather Show on the 3rd of October, this Thursday night, 2019. I'm losing my mind. Oh, boy. So, I don't know which is the most more amazing. The fact that we hit those record and all-time record highs like we did yesterday, is that more amazing than the 40-degree temperature changes in less than 24 hours? We're sitting here where we are in eastern PA to southern New England with temperatures in the 50s. There were some places just north of New York City that had a tough time getting out of the 40s. They only just recently got out of the 40s in the last hour. By the way, the heat is still in the east, in the mid-Atlantic and the southeast in particular. It was an astounding day from the standpoint of high temperatures there. And it's underneath a big upper high, so you can't produce any thunderstorms out of it. It's as dry as it can be. You can't even have the dignity of getting an isolated shower or thunderstorm. The radars are so quiet because of all the sinking air thanks to that big upper high, that big ridge. But it is getting basically a stake driven through its heart now, and it will be going away, and that should bring in some relief. Before I just pull up the maps, I just want to address Jess Harden. Why can't Joe Chaffee be a long-range winter forecaster? Because he doesn't want to be, okay? And because really it's kind of pointless. Go out there on the internet, and if you Google winter forecasts, they only really write winter forecasts mainly for the I-95 corridor. And even when they do, they're all the same. Above normal snowfall, below normal temperatures, above normal snowfall, below normal temperatures. And that's because no one's going to click on an article that says above normal temperatures, below normal snowfall. Okay? And look, and I've said this many times, there's an endless search for a magic bullet to see which can deliver you a really good outlook as far as the winter is concerned, and they don't exist. All of them have a flaw. Some of them work sometimes, sometimes they don't. So why even keep going on about it? We're just going to let things happen the way they happen, and watch the short and medium range, and we'll have lots of fun with that. Okay? I think we'll just leave it that way. All right, so here we go. I want to bring up these temperatures because they're just impressive to me, especially when you consider the time of year, because we are in the beginning of October. Okay, but when you've got a big ridge in the east like we have, this is going to produce numbers like these today. Now, Atlanta today got to 99 for a high. And that's hot. Cartersville Airport, 93 right now. They got to 100. The 101 is Rome, Georgia. In South Carolina, McEntire Air Force Air National Guard got to 100. Columbia, South Carolina, getting to 100. Long Cane, South Carolina, 100. Gastonia, 100 degrees, now down to a tepid 86. These dew points, by the way, are in the low 60s. It's still, pretty uncomfortable. 100 for a high in Raleigh-Durham, and 100 for a high in Warrenton. And everybody's in the mid to upper 90s here. On the Virginia side, William M. Tuck Airport, which I don't know where that is, got to 100. It looks like it might be somewhere near Danville. I'm not sure. Mecklenburg got to 98. Emporia, 98. 100 at Wakefield in Virginia. And Petersburg also getting to 100 degrees. And even down on the coast, you've got temperatures that reached up into the middle and upper 90s. Back Island, 99. Wilmington got to 99. 93 for Charleston. 91 for Georgetown. 93 for Sewell. And 90 for North Myrtle Beach. So I guess if you're right on the water, it's a bit better. But these numbers were just crazy. Look at these Alabama highs today. 104 at Vaden, Field Airport. 103 is Okmulgee. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Jess, if I'm saying it wrong, correct me. 86 for Alabaster Shelby County Airport. 101 today in Birmingham. 95 right now. 100 in Anniston. And on the Mississippi side, 102. Let the numbers reset here. 102 was Meridian. 100 for Holmes. Greenwood 100. In Florida on the Panhandle, Crestview got to 100. 99 at Panama City. That's just insane to have temperatures that hot. It's actually, the numbers actually were a little more reasonable as you head down to Florida. They were all above 90, but they weren't really that much above 90. The crazy numbers are up once you go inland in the Panhandle and move on north. And also, let me just bring this down. Looks like, well, it's still middle and upper 90s today across much of Kentucky and Tennessee. Now, if it'll just load, let's see if the map will load up. Now, look at the difference. At the warm front, there's a warm frontal boundary that's lying just south of the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area, and you can see how the temperatures just really fall off pretty rapidly. We're into the 70s in southern Pennsylvania and southeastern Pennsylvania right now. Philadelphia is up to 75. Atlantic City is at 74. So temperatures are actually trying to climb a bit as we've got a cold front approaching from the west and north, and we also have a warm front that's pulling up from the south ahead of a low that's going by. But Caldwell just is 55. The high is 64. Atlantic City is 66. They got to 74. Now, the problem with some of these numbers here, as you go north and east, these highs are left over from midnight last night, okay? Just to bear that in mind. So these all happened at like 12:01 a.m. Montgomery Airport is at 50 right now. Their high was 54. Poughkeepsie at 52. Their high was only 54. Long Island temperatures are all in the mid-50s. With these highs that were, again, left over from midnight last night. So it really is, this is an astounding temperature profile that we have. And given what happened yesterday, it's not really too surprising. Further north, as you head up into New England, the high and upstate New York, the highs today were generally in the right around the 50-degree mark. So most of the area here spent most of the day in the upper 40s. And lower 50s. And here's the surface map tonight, which will pop on in a moment. Hopefully. Spinning, spinning, spinning. It always does this when I'm about to go on. It's just ridiculous. Come on. Where's the surface map? Hello? It's stuck. Oh, fine. Hang on, folks. Everything seems to have just gotten stuck here for a moment. I switched to the radar. Again, look where all that hot air, as far as the heat, you're getting a little bit of scattered thunderstorm activity in parts of Alabama and in Mississippi. You could barely pick it out in the midst of all the ground clutter as that's around. But go into much of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, in areas that saw those 100-degree readings. You can't even get a shower to form. Further northeast now, we got a little bit of rain here today. It was a nice gentle rain for the most part. When it wasn't raining, we had light rain and drizzle around, and you can see that area just kind of moseying along through the northeast. And we've got this band of showers and storms in west central PA that's moving east-southeastward. So that's the last of it. That really kind of marks the boundary of where the cold front is. And once that front gets offshore, we're going to see the cooler air that is out to the west now into the plains and moving into the Ohio Valley, the western parts of the Ohio Valley. This map's giving me a lot of trouble here, but you can see where the warm sector is at least. There you go, finally. Let me just get... So there's your frontal boundary. So it just lies just south and west of Washington, D.C., and of course, again, all through here, it's because even though you have this cold front approaching, there's nothing for it to work on because of that upper high and all the sinking air subsidence. It's all very warm and dry air. It's not unstable. It's very stable under that high, so you're not going to get much out of it. Meanwhile, here's the cooler air, and you might even call it colder air, quote unquote. These are 5 p.m. temperatures, which up in Minnesota and the Dakotas are all in the 40s, and in Wisconsin they're in the 50s, and they're in the 60s up in Michigan. So we do see some colder air that is coming down out of Canada with this nice big high. That is heading in here for tomorrow and for Saturday. And it's going to set up some rather chilly temperatures here, by the way, when we head into Saturday morning, probably down in the 30s in many locations. This map's giving me a hard time here, folks. Hang on one second. I'm going to just get rid of it because it's just kind of it's causing everything to get hung up. So, hang on. Hello. So we'll get rid of this. And we're going to get rid of the radar. And everything should start working a bit better. Let's put it like that. Okay, so before we get to this, let me come back to you guys for 1 second. Everything's a bit disjointed today. I did have up, and is it still there? Oh, no, it's not there. I'm sorry, folks. The computer's giving me a really hard time tonight, and I'm having a bit of trouble trying to handle all this. So, hang on. I'm just going to, I want to go talk a little bit about Lorenzo and what's going on in Ireland. This is really weird. Just having my Chrome browser is not behaving. Okay. Let's see if this helps me. I'm not understanding what the issue is. Everything's loading very slowly, but I wanted to bring up Lorenzo. The low is that represents Lorenzo is beginning to weaken, and here it is on the infrared. You can see that swirl. It doesn't look anything tropical. It's not the one that's over. There's two obvious swirls there. It's not the one on the left. It's the one in the center of the picture, the upper center, sitting over Ireland and England. That and the arm that runs into France. That is Lorenzo, what's left of it. And when I was looking at some of the observations during the last few hours, at least through much of the day, the west coast of Ireland has been seeing wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles an hour, kilometers going up to about 85, 90 kilometers an hour at times. But the winds inland have been more on the order of 20 to about 30. So this, as I said, been saying the last few days, if you want to use Ophelia as a marker to compare this to, it's not. It's windy and it's kind of stormy, and the rain is mainly confined right now to Northern Ireland because of the structure of this. It's just basically a tiny ball, like a leftover ball of convection. There's not a whole lot from the standpoint of rain going on from what we can see. So far, at least from reports that I've looked at, and given that we are going to start to see this low weaken pretty quickly as it moves east-southeastward into Wales and England and eventually into mainland Europe, that it's not, it shouldn't be unmanageable. Okay, not that that 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts don't cause problems. They do. But for those of you who are watching your Met Iran, for the latest weather information is your go-to source. You really should pay attention to what they're saying with regards to this storm. Because I really don't know. I've never been to Ireland, and even if I had, I couldn't begin to understand how the climate works there. So just make sure you use that as your go-to source. And for those of you in England, the UK Met office is your front and center place to go to. So what's happening here as far as a weather pattern going forward? We're going to take a look at the late afternoon GFS. And there's no question that the upper pattern that that we've been experiencing is changing here, and we can certainly tell that by the fact that we are finally getting rid of this big upper high. You see it here on the GFS from mid-afternoon today. The upper high is sitting right here, east-west, across the southern part of the United States. The jet stream is running just to the north. Everything's working slow tonight on this, and I'm not sure why. But we have the jet stream well to the north, and that high now goes away. That high is going to disappear, and with troughing off the east coast and troughing to the northwest of it in the plains, it just kind of gets squashed. There's still a little bit of a ridge there that's off the east coast by the time we get to the weekend, because it's allowing the next trough to swing through, and that is the next cold front that comes through here on Monday with some showers, and that lifts out, and then you have a couple of things going on here late next week. You have a couple of upper lows that develop, one that's east of Newfoundland and another one that's out to the southeast of that, and then you've got this trough that develops to the west, and in between that you get another a ridge that builds up the east coast, but it's not a closed upper high. This is different, and it's a progressive pattern. Everything is moving from west to east, and it keeps on moving. So this would be temporary, and it would basically just infer that you're going to warm up in between air masses and in between cold fronts, which is perfectly normal. And here comes the next deep trough, and this is for next weekend, and this will probably bring a cold front pretty far to the south, down into Florida, and maybe even into the northern parts of the Gulf of Mexico with this. But the bottom line is, when we look at the overall pattern through the long term, it's a progressive pattern. Weather systems are moving along. That big jump in the end is because I'm missing, the maps aren't all in yet, so I'm missing a few things here with regards to, it jumps like 30, 48 hours in between. So I'll see if we look at the tighter view, we'll probably be able to see it a bit better, because we should have it out all the way. Okay, so on the tighter view, when you take a look at this, making sure that you guys are seeing the map, which you are. So I'll just back it up again. So here's the big ridge, the big upper high sitting over the southeastern part of the United States. Shortwave trough that is up through, moving through the Great Lakes. This is our front that's coming through tonight. And then that high just gets squashed. Troughiness comes into the plains and northern Rockies and plains, swings across the Great Lakes. We get another front to come through here Monday night into early Tuesday. Then that goes out, and then here comes the next trough that will move into the east late next weekend and lift up, and then here comes the next one. So as long as we don't have a return of that big upper high, we're done with this extreme heat up in my neck of the woods, certainly. And now you're going to get some relief in the southeastern part of the U.S. Just going to take a little more time for it to get there. But you are going to get some of it getting down here for Friday into Saturday, because this system moving off the east coast, this front actually does push pretty far south. And notice, by the way, again, even with that cold front there's nothing for it to work on, so it can't really do anything thanks to that big upper high. So our front tomorrow is offshore, and we also have this big high building in, so there is a little bit of a gradient that develops here. And our air is going to be coming down from north to south, and some of that is going to push down into the Carolinas and into Georgia. Gradually, that front will get to come to a grinding halt at some point. But relief for Virginia, relief getting into Tennessee and Kentucky to finally break this unending heat, and eventually even down into South Carolina, maybe even into northeast Georgia. But again, that frontal boundary kind of gets stuck a bit, but progress is made as we go through the weekend and into next week. Here's our next cold front. And by the way, even here, this front has quite a few showers with it Sunday night into Monday, but when it moves into the southeast, it just falls apart in terms of the showers. There's no real support for it, and even up in the northeast, there's not a whole lot of support for it after Sunday morning. Monday morning looks like you'd have all these showers coming, and then the model just kind of weakens it a bit as it moves to the east. Some of it survives, so we'll get a little bit of rain out of that, and then the next high builds in. That stays with us most of next week. Meanwhile, out in the west, with those shortwave troughs coming into the west, there's going to be a little bit of activity here in the form of maybe some kind of low coming out of the central Rockies and into the central plains. So somebody could wind up seeing snow later next week up in the plains and Rockies. We'll have to wait and see on that. And then that low runs up to the Great Lakes with yet another cold front approaching the east coast. And now we're at day 10. So look, we know the variability here is going to get wider and wider over time. But the bottom line is, as far as the overall pattern is concerned, it is one now where everything's going to be moving from west to east. It's a progressive pattern, and that means we don't have any real blocking to speak of. Things are going to be moving along in the atmosphere. So now the warm-ups that you will get will be the normal warm-ups that occur between air masses as they move in and out. The rainfall situation with respect to how WPC sees it, and there you go. So this is how they see the rainfall for the next 7 days. Still pretty dry from Georgia to eastern North Carolina. That light green is less than 1/10 of an inch. So for all intents and purposes, it doesn't rain at all for the next 7 days in that region, or very little. You have this area that runs up the west side of the Appalachians and heads up into Pennsylvania and on up into New England, where some areas are going to wind up with a few inches of rain out of this, but it does tail off somewhat once you get from central New Jersey on southward. A couple of inch and a half, some pockets of 2-inch rainfalls running up the Mississippi Valley in the eastern parts of the plains and on up into the western Great Lakes. You're seeing a little bit of rain for Florida on the order of 1 inch or 2. Much of the moisture that they have drawn in terms of the heavier rain has to do with stuff that's going on in the Gulf of Mexico and back over in the Caribbean and north of Cuba and the Dominican Republic. The southwest is dry. The northwest seeing a little bit of rain, but nothing too outrageous. And with respect to the satellite view tonight, let's take a look at the U.S. satellite loop. And my apologies again for the technical difficulties tonight with some of the maps loading. It seems to be the computer's just having a bad day. But here's our loop this evening, and you've got your warm fronts. It's like a wall. If you look where the cloud line is in northeast Virginia into Maryland, it basically goes from a solid overcast to mostly clear. So that's the upper high. You can see the edge of the upper high. And if you notice, the clouds in the Gulf states are actually moving from east to west. So that's where you're seeing a little bit of convective development in terms of afternoon thunderstorms. But near where the center of that upper high is, which is probably somewhere in eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, with all that sinking air, nothing is happening. Nothing of consequence is being produced with respect to showers. We have disturbed weather that the Hurricane Center acknowledges in the northwestern Caribbean, about to make its way into the Gulf of Mexico and into the western Gulf, where conditions might be a little bit more conducive for development in a few days. There's still a lot of shear going on. If you look at the cloud tops, they're kind of going from southwest to northeast. The low-level clouds are moving from east to west. So for the moment, at least, it doesn't look like anything could come out of it in terms of tropical storm formation. And you have some of that moisture that extends out into the Atlantic for about 300 or 400 miles also in there, too. There might be a weak low that develops there. I don't think, from what I looked at today, it doesn't look like anything is going to come of that. And it's not something that the Hurricane Center at this stage of the game is even mentioning. And severe weather tonight, well, not much. You got that little marginal risk area in Pennsylvania with the storms that are there. And other than that, a couple of general area of thunderstorms from Alabama, Mississippi, back into Texas and New Mexico, and a small area in the Pacific Northwest. Otherwise, and a little patchy area there in southwestern Florida. Other than that, it is snoozeville when it comes to showers and storms. So let me just park all these maps over here, and we'll come up to the chat board and see what everybody is talking about. While I'm on the maps, I can't see what you guys are saying. So it's sort of like you're talking behind my back, sort of. Anyway, it's loading. I hope I'm still on. Okay, I am online. Okay, you're there. It's crazy here. Mr. Briller, you're hitting Super Chat again. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm humbled by it, actually. Thank you. Okay. Rosendo Benitez, I don't know how you're standing that heat in North Carolina. Usually by now you've gotten a couple of air masses to come down and bring you some lower humidity and some decent weather, but this has really been unrelenting the last couple of weeks. And the lack of rain is probably getting to the point now where it's got to be fairly serious. Timothy Veltman, you've got a fire roaring. That's terrific. Good to hear. We're going to be down in the 30s and low 40s here Friday night and Saturday morning downstate. So I might give the fireplace its first burn of the season. I'm a big fireplace fan. I just love. I have my fireplace it produces a lot of heat. It's a relatively new. I had an original fireplace from 30 years ago, and I had this new fireplace put in. And it's an insert, and it's amazing how much heat that produces, and there's all these fans on it that blow the heat around. But I actually have it vented so that it goes up into the second floor where the bedrooms are, and it heats up the whole second floor of the house. It keeps my oil bills down in the winter. William Huber, you're closing your pool. Thanks for hitting Super Chat tonight. Really appreciate it. I got to just cover mine. It's done. It's done, and that's my job for this weekend is to just put the cover on it. I'm running here. We need Canada to start getting snowpack, Sue Cunningham. Well, it will be over the next few weeks, of course. And we talked last night about the whole Siberian snow cover thing, and I don't really want to look at it every single day. Let's give it, because you're not going to really notice a difference between yesterday and today. So let's wait until about mid-month, and we'll give it a look, and we'll see where it's progressed. Scott Briller sent me a tweet of Judah Cohen, Dr. Judah Cohen, who monitors this, and he points out that at least off the first 2 days, it has gotten off to a rather fast start. Now, that's just 2 days, and it's totally meaningless in the scope of things until we get to the end. So let's wait till we get to the end. I'm a tab junkie. Okay, Philip Neary. I guess that's the best way to do it. Danny, I didn't have that many. I've had 3 times as many tabs open as I have open tonight. I only have 4 tabs open right now. So there's some other things that are going on. There might be other people logged onto this machine that usually I log them off, and then this way I'm by myself and it gives me a little bit more to work with, but I didn't do that tonight. When Chrome isn't behaving, says David Schwartz, it needs an update to be finalized. You know what? I did notice that there was some kind of update that was supposed to be available to Chrome. I don't see it on this one, but you might be correct. I'll have to look at it when after we're done. How much rain could you see in Alabama, Jess? You know what? I'm not with these weather fronts the way they're behaving. I'm not overly enthused by the amount of rainfall that you're going to get out of them. You're going to have to wait a while longer before. I don't know where the pattern ultimately is going to wind up. I would think that with everything moving from west to east, that eventually you're going to get something of value as far as rainfall is concerned. You have to also wonder whether is it going to take a tropical system to come and provide some rain relief, which is a sort of a dangerous thing to rely upon, because if you wind up in a situation where the darn thing stalls, then what do you do? But we don't have any tropical systems like that now, and we're getting into October, so it starts to get a little tougher with regards to getting tropical systems to impact the U.S. Not that it can happen. We had Michael last year during the first part of October, which was a Category 5, and there's still plenty of time. But as the month goes, as you get deeper into October and you start to get into November, storms that have impact on the U.S. mainland, they kind of sort of thin out when you look back at the weather history. So we'll see. But nothing there at the moment. Daniel Fitzsimmons, I don't know if we'll see nor'easters. I'll tell you this much: you're not going to see anything in this progressive pattern over the next 10 days to 2 weeks. JR Boy number 398, is there severe weather in the Mid-South on Sunday with the next front? Well, the next front that approaches on Sunday, I mean, there probably will be some storms with that front Sunday night into late Sunday night into Monday in parts of Kentucky and Tennessee, and maybe even into West Virginia. But I'm not, I don't know about severe weather. That's the 4 days off. That's a little tough to figure. Looking at the upper air. The strongest part of that next shortwave goes by well to your north, so that would be an argument against anything being severe. And I just want to check for SPC. They're not going to go out far enough, and I'm sure they don't have anything. They have no area indicated for Sunday as far as severe weather is concerned. But that's their day 4 to 8 outlook. So tomorrow, Sunday will be day 3. They're saying their forecast is for predictability too low, so that they don't rule it out. So I guess we're going to have to wait till tomorrow to see what they say. Rosendo Benitez, I'm getting relief with a cold air damming pattern on Saturday. You are good. Yeah, that front going down like that, you do get a bit of an onshore flow and the high kind of damming back west-southwestward. So that will help you. That will certainly help you. Certainly will get rid of this 100 stuff. That's definitely going to go away. And Chuck Cardillo up in the Catskills is getting ready for his first freeze, and so is Paul Roman, as they've got freeze watches up for the middle and upper Hudson Valley and for the Catskills going for Friday night into Saturday morning. I might actually see some 30s east of me in the Pine Barrens that are in eastern Suffolk County if the wind drops off to dead calm. That place radiates like crazy when you have clear skies and light winds. Radiational cooling is a lot of fun up here because you really could get some spots that get these really off the wall temperatures where it could be 30 in New York City and 0 or even below 0 10 miles east of me. Central Park, Scott Briller on how difficult long range is on October 17, 1938. Central Park recorded its latest 90-degree day in November. The latest 90-degree day, and in November of that year, 13 inches of snow. In fact, Bob Smith of Garden State Weather put this up on Facebook, so I want to give him credit for this. But it's a data set of 4. Okay, 4. So if you look at the years that New York, just for New York City, and this is just for 1 point, so you can't apply it everywhere. So for the folks that are watching in and around my neck of the woods, in New York City, in the 4 years that we had 90-degree temperatures in the month of October, all 4 of those winters produced below normal temperatures and above average snowfall. And that's the kind of statistic that works until it doesn't. Just to bear that in mind. We're talking about a data set of 4. So I would wonder if you widen that data set from 90, because 90, like any number, 90 is an arbitrary random number, okay? It could be 85, It could be 80. So I wonder if you run the numbers for 85, for example, or 87. It doesn't have to be a round number or ending in a 5. What if we used 87 or 88 or 83 or 82? What would you come up with? I think at some point you would get so many different results that you're going to get so many different results that it becomes valueless. But we do have these 4, so let's see if it winds up 7 months from now. We'll look at the numbers and we'll see if that held true for the 5th time. Civilized joke: any potential for a frost in the southern Appalachians in the upcoming cold fronts in the next few weeks? I would say probably not. No. No. It's you got to wait for a trough to get deep enough and go all the way down to bring that jet down into the northern Gulf of Mexico at the very least. But from what I'm seeing right now, I would say no. There's always the odd chance. I guess when the next couple of highs, when they come down, you get situations with clear skies and light winds. So I don't know how that impacts in terms of elevation there. But from what I'm looking at right now, I would say probably not. It's still a little bit too early. Nick Ortiz sitting super chat tonight. Thank you so much, Nick. Appreciate it. Long Island, 90 degrees in October is incredibly. It is rare. In fact, Islip has never done it. They only got to 89 yesterday, and that was an all-time record high. But it did definitely go above 90 in northwestern Suffolk County and for much of Nassau County. So, Scott, you've got 6 times in Central Park with the 90. So I know the last 4 times, according to Garden State Weather, that it was above normal snowfall, below normal temperatures. So I don't know about the other 2. But again, it could be one of these, when you have a data set of 4, there's not a whole lot you can do with that. It doesn't give you a whole lot, it doesn't really give you a lot to work with. All right, so look, folks, thanks for being here. It's 7:40 Eastern Time. I'm going to call it a night at this point. And thanks as always for joining. Thank you for those of you hitting the Super Chat tonight. Gets me a cup of coffee and a couple of cigars. Scott Briller, as always, thank you. William Uber, as always, thank you. And Nick Ortiz, as always, thank you for hitting Super Chat. Once again, a reminder, download the free weather app on Google Play or on the App Store. The app is free. There's an updated version. If you already have the app, be sure to download the update so that it will default to your location and you don't have to put it in every single time. And there's a tab for Long Island. And also, if you haven't, you can download Angry Ben's app, the Angry Weatherman, available for Android, not yet available for iPhones, but it's there for the Android. It's absolutely free, and you get his perspective of what's going on. And hey, if mine is not working or something comes up and I can't get to update mine, you can always jump on Ben's, or you can certainly use both. Ben does my nycweathernow.com website for me and has for the last couple of years. So we put an app for me, and I just put an app for myself, and now created an app for him. Chris Alley, nice to see you. Hope everything is going well by you and you're feeling good. That's first and foremost, that you're feeling good. Paul Roman, thanks for being here tonight. Mirtha Gunter, nice to see you. Try and stay cool, but your relief is coming. Robert Brown, the same. Mark G, Philip Neary, Tim Smart, Sue Cunningham, 92 yesterday and 52 today. That 40-degree shift. Civilized joke. William Huber. That's an interesting name you've given yourself. Daniel Fitzsimmons and Ann Ames, New Hampshire, dry as a bone. Hey, Ann, I saw this story today of a moose that got into somebody's swimming pool up in New Hampshire, and the rough time that they had with getting it out. Jess Harden, nice to see you as always. JR Boy 398, welcome aboard. onto the Joe Chaffee Weather Show and on the chat. And Jess, not doing long range, so don't keep asking me. I'm not going to crack on this. Timothy Veltman, Rosendo Benitez, and I know I didn't get everybody here. Mac Attack, but if I missed you, Keith James, I will get you tomorrow. Oh, here's someone. Stian. Oh, we have Lorenzo's like Ireland almost every day in Norway. Stian Torstad. Welcome. I have my first Norway watcher. That is great. Thank you. I hope you're still on. Thank you so much for joining here on the Joe Chaffee Weather Show. We don't always do weather in Europe, but when it is active, or if we have a tropical system, or there's some kind of big Atlantic storm, I do talk about it. When will these have an impact on Scandinavia? Rain and wind, waiting for your first big storm of the season. I sure hope you're still on watching. Well, let me take a look. Now I'm just looking at the new GFS, and I mean it doesn't. First of all, with respect to, I'm going to bring the map back up. This is exciting. If somebody from Norway, I think that is so. That's just great. Hold on. So if you're still on, just put something up on the chat so this way I know. So here we go. So I pulled up the GFS, and the map you're seeing here is for 8 o'clock tonight, so Eastern Time, U.S. Eastern Time. So there's Lorenzo is moving into Ireland, and as I said, it just weakens as it moves southeastward and moves into Europe, into Germany, and on over into Austria and Poland, and then it goes goodbye, merges with the trough that's to the west. There is a rather strong Atlantic storm that heads towards Iceland early next week, but that stays out to the east, to the west of you, and then just gradually kind of meanders its way east-south eastward. Doesn't look like much is happening. It does appear that there's more of an easterly flow going on up in northwestern Europe, but I don't see any big storms on the horizon, at least through the middle part of the month. But hey, if you're a regular here, I'll be more than happy to give my skills a test in trying to figure out what the weather is going to be like up in Norway. Brian, thank you for hitting Super Chat tonight. Really appreciate it. I don't know, Brian. Everybody has usually you have Johnny Quest and Robert Russo. Okay, either you have your full name or you have an identifier, but you have just Brian. So you are Brian, and on this channel you will always be Brian. And thank you for hitting Super Chat tonight. One day I should plot a map where all my followers come from. I don't know if you. Well, that's interesting. It certainly would be a hard thing for me to do, but we'll see. We'll see. Once I'm done with my TV stuff, I'll have more time to try different things, and I've got a couple of ideas in my head. So I'll let you know when something looks like it is a possibility. Erica Baker, nice to see you on board as you monitor the weather in your neck of the woods. Nancy Pluto, thanks for being here tonight. I hope I got everybody. If I didn't, I apologize, and I will definitely. Jason Barry, I could put it on Patreon. That's true. I could put it on my weather platform on Patreon. For those of you who are not part of the Patreon platform, it's patreon.com/meteorologist Joe Chaffee. It's a subscription platform. And there's a lot of the folks that are on here are on the Patreon platform. And wait till we get into the winter weather, really starts going full blast, because we'll be posting a lot on that particular platform. Okay, have a great night, everybody. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow.